Hey guys, Kev here, and I am ready to do my full review on the Spartan Blades Astor. So, I have done so far my unboxing and my first impressions on this knife. I have carried it a bit. Honestly, I've carried it a bit more than I really wanted to. I kind of forced myself to put it in pocket a couple times, even though I wanted something more fidgety. But I really wanted to give an honest review. I don't want to just get something in, get my thoughts, first impressions, and then let that be what it is, and then film a review a week later and call it good. I want to actually use the knife, carry it, and give you guys a real review, even if I'm not jiving with it myself. Sometimes that can be a struggle because I want to get things in. I want to review things that I really like and I jive with, but at the same time, I ordered this knife. I paid for this knife full price because I was interested in it. And so it is only fair that I give it a fair shake. So that's kind of a little bit of a background on where I've been at with this knife. I have my LaCroix here, coconut flavor, the best flavor you can get, in my opinion. Anyway, I picked this knife up from SpartanBlades.com. I think that's the website. You can Google Spartan Blades, sorry. Because I saw on their Instagram they were coming out with two bronze tier knives, and I was really interested to see how they would come out. They're made in Taiwan. They have some lower quality materials than their normal, $400, $500, $600 plus handmade custom knives, basically, that you get in their gold tier. So basically, Spartan Blades, I ran this down in my other videos, so I don't want to, beat a dead horse too much here. But they have 3 tiers now: gold or elite, pro or silver, and then bronze or field grade. And these are the first 2 knives that come out in the bronze tier. There's this knife, the Astor, and then there's one I think called the Talos, Talos, I think. And that's basically a budget 3.25-inch Harzy folder. And I have not had that one in hand, so I can't tell you how that one is. But I've had this one for about 2 weeks now, and I've gotten a really good feel for it. So I would like to give you my full review and thoughts on this. I am going to preface this by saying this knife is basically sold at this point. I mentioned it in my everyday carry video over the weekend, and somebody reached out and said they would like to purchase it, and I'm going to go ahead and sell it. As soon as he responds and sends me the funds, I will ship this off. I believe the price I gave him was $115. And I've seen them around $120, $130 on the secondary, so I think it's a fair price. It's barely used, carried a couple times. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. And that's not because I don't think this is a good knife. It's because this knife is not for me. So I hope you guys can respect that. Everybody has their own tastes, and you can't always tell what a knife is on paper or in pictures or video. You got to get it in hand. I've been able to get a good feel for things by handling a lot of knives, but this one kind of surprised me a little bit. So in terms of materials, what we're working with here is a 3.5-inch blade. This is CTS XHP steel, which is very, very good steel. It's from Carpenter. I've heard it's, up there with S35VN, maybe a little bit better than that. We have these G10 carbon fiber laminate scales here. And you have this deep carry clip that goes almost all the way to the butt of the knife. It's basically to the butt of the knife. It carries well. It does have these button head screws here instead of having flush screws. However, that did not cause any issues in pocket, so I can't really call that an issue. The scales themselves are pretty smooth, which kind of tricked me a little bit, just because, G10 laminate, I figure for a work knife, you would want this to be a little rougher and a little more grippy, but it's not. It's pretty smooth. And then you also have jimping up here, which is spaced out a bit. So it again is pretty much, it's not smooth, obviously, but it doesn't give you a ton of traction. It's just kind of like a location point, so you know where your thumb is, which again is interesting. But overall, the ergonomics, because of the shape of the handle here, your index finger wants to drop in here, and then your other three fingers kind of just wrap around the rest of the handle. Your thumb lands on that jimping. Even though it's smooth, I'm locked in. So I'm fully locked into this knife. You could definitely do some hard use with this. I could definitely see it with gloves. There is another version of this in green G10, and I honestly think that might be the way to go if you're going to buy one new. Just because I'm guessing that will have a little bit more grip than this does. And it just seems, for the purpose of the knife, that would make more sense. We do have a reversible deep carry clip here. It's another reason I picked this one up. The other bronze tier model, the Talus, that one does not have a reversible clip, which I find really strange, because even the small Harsey folder and the regular size Harsey folder, they have reversible clips. This has a reversible clip, so I wonder why the small budget one doesn't. And maybe it just added too much cost or something, I don't know. So aesthetically, I actually think it's a really good looking knife. It's a Les George design. You can see here, Les George, Spartan blade, CTS XHP. Sorry, that one's a little bit of a tongue twister. It's just a great design, classic Les George. Looks a lot like his VECP folder. And a lot of things he's done. So I love the little drop here into this drop point blade, or it might even be a spear point blade. It's really cool. You got a good amount of belly here, and it goes up into this pretty robust tip here. I don't know how well you can see that, but pretty robust tip. The steel is good. It has a satin finish on it. It did come with a bit of a toothy edge on it, and I mentioned this again in my first impressions. I put it on my strap with green compound, and I went maybe 3 to 6 times, swipes on each side, and it turned into a freaking razor blade. Paper, it sliced right through, so I thought it was initially kind of thick behind the edge. But the other day, I was taking some cardboard out to the trash, and I figured, why not test this sucker out? So I brought it with me, and this thing was like a lightsaber through cardboard. I was very impressed. I had the Urban ADC F5.5, my Knife of the Year winner. I had that in pocket as well, and that one cut through cardboard very well also. But this honestly was better. This is a fantastic cutter. So I was very impressed with that, being it's, just a flat grind that goes most of the way down the blade. It just works very well. It has a good edge on it here. I'm guessing you're not going to be able to see it very well, but it's a good edge. I'm not an expert on steel or edges or anything, so take all this with a grain of salt, but definitely was a very good cutter. So, the elephant in the room, the reason why I don't like this knife, it's not that I don't like it, the reason why I'm not keeping this knife, let's put it that way, is the action. So, you have to give it some wrist or a lot with your thumb to get this to go out and flick it out. It is not that hard. You can do the 2-finger thumb flick if you want. You know, I can do it. That's not the problem. And on the close, it doesn't drop or anything. You see it just sits there, and then I can shake it down. I've figured out that the best way to open and close this is to wrist it out and then push the lock bar over and kind of knock it down like this onto my thumbnail and then slam it closed. It does not drop shut or any of that stuff. It is not a fidgety knife, and that is the reason I am moving on from it. It is extremely smooth. If you enjoy Sebenza action, I think you're going to love this. And it's a liner lock instead of a frame lock. So for my lefties out there, it's a little bit of a better experience than having a frame lock with this kind of action. It is very smooth. Once you get it in hand, you can really feel it just glide. There's no resistance at all, but it just doesn't want to drop. So it's an interesting action, not my style, but I can definitely appreciate it. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this knife. I really like it for what it is, but it's just not my thing. One other thing I want to note is this scale here, how it kind of like doubles up. So it's not an inset scale, and you have like the black G10 laminate, the stainless steel scale here, and then you have the other side of black G10 carbon fiber laminate, and it just looks strange to me that there's that, you know, stainless steel layer in there, and it throws everything off for me in terms of the look of this knife. Even the centering for me is hard to gauge because, you know, it's because of that extra little piece of stainless steel there. It's very strange in my opinion. I would have preferred an inset liner instead of this type, but again, it's a work knife. It's a good work knife. One last thing, sorry, I want to point out is the thumb studs. So if you do like to flick knives, and even though it doesn't flick well, you can flick it with wrist. It will start to wear on your thumbs a little bit because the edges around these kind of little, there's these little like divots in the thumb stud. They're kind of sharp. So if you give it a lot of pressure, it does start to hurt after a while. So slow rolling it is honestly the way to go on this knife. But I did want to mention that last thing. And do I recommend this? So, again, if you are into the slow roll, hydraulic, Sebenza type action, then yes. And you need a work knife, something heavy duty, a good slicer, something that'll last you a long time. Yes, I can recommend this. And then I can recommend it to a lefty or a righty. There's really no difference other than the side that the lock is on in there. But if you're a fidgety type person like me, if you like to play with your knives, if you want them to flick out and you want them to drop close, then I would say keep your $150 for something else. Because this was $150, and with tax and stuff, I think I paid around $155, $160 with shipping and all that good stuff. So $160 for this knife, to me, is not worth it. But again, to anybody who likes that type of action or needs a heavy-duty work knife, then I would definitely recommend it. If you are into more fidgety stuff, you have so many options in that price point, from Spyderco, pair of threes, the PM2, the Manix 2, the lightweights. There's just so many knives in that category. You have Kershaw's, you have, if you want to get into other overseas brands, you have Civivis and Wies and all types of stuff out there that has just as good of materials, probably better, honestly, and in that same price point. So with all that said, this is a cool knife. I'm glad I got to check it out and experience it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.